Good morning. Wow. This is exciting for me. What a great crowd. Give yourselves a hand, Murfreesboro. I'm Felicia Pierce Harris. I will be your moderator for today for our morning session. I want to welcome you to the TennCare Delivery Systems Transformation Conference. This is the first of this kind to happen. Why? Because it is an all MCO collaborative. So that's progress. Let's give ourselves a hand for that. But a little bit about me. I work with United Healthcare. I'm the director for clinical transformation. That means I oversee the team that engages with your practice. They are working with practices that are participating in the Patient-Centered Medical Home program for Tennessee. And so many of you connect with the team that I manage. And I have to tell you, we're really excited today to be here. There are a couple of hundred of you that have registered, so that's excitement in and of itself. But before we get started, I want to really send a resounding thank you to TennCare. I mean, TennCare has been awesome, and then, this has been a collective work and body for primary care transformation. And so I want to thank TennCare, our MCOs, AmeriGroup, Blue Cross, United Healthcare for this collaborative effort. I also want to thank those of you that are participating in the episodes of CARE program, Patient-Centered Medical Home, better known as PCMH, Tennessee HealthLink, better known as HealthLink programs. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because this is a work that's been in progress for some years now, and what's happening is that this is the result of Navigant phasing out of the project and the collective works and efforts of the managed care organizations that are engaging and connecting with you for primary care transformation. But just a few house rules and reminders. There are bathrooms located on each end of the hotel, this lobby area, so you can either go out to your left or to the right, and you will have access to a bathroom. I would like for you to pay attention to the agendas that are on the tables to help direct and guide each of you. There will be facilitators that will assist in the sessions today, and I'd like for Tiffany Jackson and Alicia Patterson. If you are a facilitator, please see her. She will direct you to those conferences and those locations. That's Tiffany back there. She's raising her hand. And if you need anything, feel free to see Alicia Patterson as well as Tiffany Jackson. Just to go through the agenda for this morning, we will open up between 9 and 9:30. TennCare will provide an update. At 9:30 to 10:40 a.m., there will be a wellness goal for 2020 session. And then we will have a networking break. At 10:40 to 10:55, that's the networking break. We'll come back after networking, and we will have from 10:55 to 11:30 a.m., we will have a panel discussion of social determinants of health and community from various representatives from our MCOs. And then we'll break at 11:30 to 12:30 for lunch. Listen up. For the first 30 minutes from 11:30 to 12 o'clock, you're free to enjoy your lunch in this room, and then we'll ask you to, you can go somewhere else in the hotel or either areas in the lobby area for you to access and have your lunch there. But what we're going to do is break this big room. It's going to break down to 3 different sessions, and so that would be option 1. option 2, and option 3 here. And then option 4, let me correct myself. Session 1, which is the episodes of care meeting, that would be in Oakley A, which is that area down there. In Oakley B, right here, this would be your session 4, Tennessee Health Link and PCMH collaboration. Those are topics and discussions that we've heard directly from the hearts of our practices. And then in Oakley C, that would be held by Meharry Medical Group and their 86 Borders and Engagement in Actionable Data pilot study. And then when you exit for session 2, that's the Tennessee Health Link aftercare planning and post-acute care. That's located in Cambridge Room B. And so when you exit here, you will make a left and then a right down that hall, and you will have access to that session. And I think I've covered all of my house rules. Oh, no. So, do you have your devices? Have you connected to the Wi-Fi? If not, let's have a quick session. So on the table, on your agendas at the top, you can connect to the Wi-Fi. So the username is TenCare0220. The password is welcome20. And so you will locate and access the conference center, and then it goes from there. And you should be able to connect to the Wi-Fi. Okay? Now, once we've connected to the Wi-Fi, I'd like for you to do me another favor. Put your telephone on vibrate or silent. Okay? Well, that's all we have. Next up, we'll have TennCare updates.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Has the coffee kicked in? My name is Meredith Gonsong. For those of you who don't know me, I was formerly the Patient-Centered Medical Home Lead, and now I am the Primary Care Quality Deputy Director. And so I just want to welcome you as well to our conferences today. We're really excited to also now include episodes of care. So, this is just a rundown of our agenda for our TennCare updates. It's a usual roll call and some updates for PCMH HealthLink, and then also episodes of care, as well as upcoming learning opportunities for you all. So, this is the part of the session where we want to see who's in the room, and we want you all to really represent for your organization when your name is called. So we'll start off with the organizations who are in PCMH, HealthLink, and episodes of care. So do we have America's Family Doctors in the building? All right. Ascension St. Thomas Medical Partners. All right, they have a whole table. Brentwood Pediatrics. All right. Camelot Care Center. All right. Capstone Pediatrics. Centennial Heart HCA. Centennial Women's Group Bluegrass OB-GYN. Centennial Women's Group Summit OB-GYN. All right. Centerstone. All right. I like your energy. Children's Clinic East. Children's Medical Group. All right. Connectus Health. Hey! Holding it down. Cookeville Pediatric Associates. All right. Covenant Care. Okay. Cumberland Pediatric Associates. All right. Erlanger Health System. Family Care Clinic. All right. Fast Pace Health. Okay. Generations Health Association. Yay! Grace Pediatrics. Awesome. HCA Physician Services Group. Oh, HCA TriStar. Health Connect America. You guys are winning. Healthy Kids. All right. Kid Link Treatment Services. Lewis Health Center. All right. Life Care Family Services / Omni Community Health. All right. Matthew Walker Comprehensive Health Center. All right. Meharry Medical College. Meharry Medical Group. Mental Health Cooperative. All right. Nashville General Hospital. Okay, I see you in the corner. Neighborhood Health. All right. Nurture Pediatrics. All right. OB-GYN Associates. O. Harding Pediatric Associates. Omni Community Health. Pediatric Associates of Davidson County. Plateau Pediatrics. All right. Primary Care and Hope Clinic. Putnam County Pediatrics. Rainbow Kids Clinic. Hey. Rivergate Pediatrics. Sewanee Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine. Terrace Pediatric Group. All right. Tennessee Pediatric and Adolescent Center. Hi. University of Tennessee Medical Center. Trust Point Hospital. Tullahoma Pediatrics. All right. Vanderbilt Medical Group. VIP Mid-South. Volunteer Behavioral Health. All right. Good way to end that with a bang. So now I'd also like to welcome other organizations that are here and in attendance. So 86 Borders. AmalgaWorks. Genentech. All right. Pinpoint Consultants. QSource. Hey. Quality Matters. Ripley and Associates. All right, so now I want to recognize some of the stakeholder groups. TAADAS. TAMHO. All right. TennCare Oversight Department of Commerce and Insurance. All right. Tennessee Healthcare Campaign. Morning. TNAP. All right. Tennessee Department of Health. Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. All right. So now I'd like to recognize the MCOs. AmeriGroup. Blue Care. United Healthcare. Last but not least, I would like to recognize TennCare. Was there anyone we missed or did not get called? All right. Well, welcome, everybody. We have some new faces. We have some old faces. So everyone kind of knows where everyone's sitting. So please introduce yourself during a networking break if there's someone you wanted to meet that was on the roll call. All right, now on to some updates. So one update is we would like to welcome some of our new staff and introduce them to you all. Many of you all have met Rachel Harbor, who is the new PCMH lead. She's not here today, but she'll be at the Knoxville conference. But she is stepping into my role, and so if you have any PCMH questions or any things you want to talk to her PCMH-wise, there's her email address. I also want to welcome Allie Holtenstrup, who is our digital quality strategist, and she's right here. She will be the new point person for the care coordination tool. So please feel free to introduce yourself and welcome her to the team. All right, so this is just kind of an overview of all three of our programs that you all represent here today. Some of you all are in all three. Some of you are only in PCMH or HealthLink or PCMH and HealthLink. But we really just wanted to give you guys an overview of each of the programs. So I won't read it word for word, but these are our value-based programs that we have under our umbrella of primary care transformation. And they all have different aims, but they were all designed to work in complement with one another to really improve quality of care here in Tennessee. So if you ever hear EOC, THL, PCMH, these are what those acronyms refer to in the different programs. And so hopefully through today's conference, a lot of the information that's provided will further give you more insights into how you can really forge your transformation efforts in each of these programs. So for PCMH, we want to welcome our Wave 4 organizations. We have two, Vanderbilt Medical Group and VIP Mid-South. They're sitting over there, so we want to give them a nice welcome to our transformation extravaganza. So just a little bit about them. They're two organizations located here in the Nashville area, predominantly pediatric members, and they're both high volume. So please welcome them to the PCMH program, and as you guys break up for your networking breaks, feel free to introduce yourselves. There's organizations who have been participating in the program since 2017, and even the newest ones. So this is a really great opportunity for you all to get to know each other and network. So we would like to welcome our Wave 4 organizations. And so also, this is our updated state map. As you can see, we've increased the number of our sites and the number of members that each you all serve. So this just gives you a breakdown of where we are in terms of the program and its coverage. And so I want to just celebrate this because when I first started, we had 29 organizations, a little bit over 100 sites. So we've grown and come a long way, and I really thank you all for your continued commitment to this program. And so also, we continue to hold strong with the THL program as well. We do have 20 THL providers serving over 74,000 THL members, and you can see the name of those organizations there and their coverage across the state as well. So now I want to just point out some resources that are available to you all to help you support you in your transformation. Many of you know about our PCMH curriculum. Previously, it was housed on a SharePoint site hosted by Navigant, but we have transitioned the curriculum over, so now it's currently on our PCMH and HealthLink websites available to you all. So you can access the curriculum there. We're also always looking for ways to improve the curriculum. So if you guys have any suggestions or any resources or strategies that you all think would be really helpful to add to the curriculum, please email those to Michelle, and we'll work together to get those incorporated. But this is a document that includes so many different strategies and resources for you all to focus on different areas of your transformation. And so it's a helpful resource for you to share with your staff, as well as make sure you're regularly looking at it for updates. We also have some additional resources, which we call the compendium of resources, which complement the curriculum. And so if you would like access to any of those materials, please reach out to your MCO representatives to request that information. So this is for my PCMHers, NCQA update. So this is just a reminder of your timelines for recognition. So if you're a Wave 1 or 2, you have the majority of your sites already through the recognition process, and you're in what we call annual reporting. So just a friendly reminder to come through the annual reporting process before your expiration expires. We have released the code for annual reporting, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Rachel or myself for more information. If you're wave 3, you are coming up on a very important deadline of June 30th to have your sites recognized. And also the deadline to submit a request for an extension. So if you have questions about the extension process or your deadlines or your timeline, please feel free to reach out to your MCO coach or Rachel or myself, and we can assist you further. Lastly, if you're wave 4, you're in the process of going through the recognition process. So this is your timeline to hit those milestones to achieve recognition for all of your sites by June 30th, 2021. So this is just a friendly reminder of your timelines for recognition. So also want to share with you all some upcoming learning opportunities. So for those of you who are new or you need a refresher or you have new staff members, we are going to be hosting a care coordination tool training on March the 4th, and we'll be sending out more information about how to register for that. So I strongly encourage you all to be on the lookout for that email communication and also share with staff so that you can register for that training. And we also still do have some recorded trainings on our care coordination tool website, but this will be a more interactive way and updated training for your staff. So if you're interested, please be on the lookout for the registration information. Also, mark your calendars. Our next round of conferences are going to be in July. It's a little change. We previously had these in June, but we're moving them to July this year. So please mark those dates for the July conferences, and we'll be sending out registration information closer to the dates. Also, if you do have new staff, you have old staff who have rolled off, or you just need to update site location information, please, 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 please send that information to Rachel for PCMH and to Jasmine for HealthLink. This is helpful for us to be able to make sure that all of your staff is in the loop of program communication, as well as we have the most updated information for your site so that we have enough resources and we're appropriately accounting for the support that you need for your sites. And so now I'll turn it over to Beth DeWeese for episodes of Care Updates.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. As Meredith said, I'm Beth DeWeese. I do provider engagement for the Episodes of Care program, and we are just so excited to be a part of this conference in 2020, and we really appreciate the PCMH and HealthLink teams for including us and inviting us to participate. So I think it's really a very exciting part of the Delivery System Transformation Initiative at TennCare that now all 3 of our programs are represented in this one conference. So Episodes of Care is the specialty and acute care delivery system transformation program that we have. We're a little bit different in that we have over 2,000 accountable providers within the program across all of our 48 episodes. So we're very large, and we represent a lot of different providers across the state and across several different specialties. We also have, as I said, 48 episodes, and we're really excited that in 2020, for the first time, all 48 episodes across 9 waves are now reporting, and they have financial accountability. So we are now completing all of the preview phases for each episode type, and that's a big milestone for our program, and we're really excited that after a number of years we've gotten here. And as you can see on the slide, these are our 48 episodes and are not across our 9 waves. One thing I do want to plug for you guys, every May, the Episodes program has something called our annual feedback session. And I like to describe this as the Super Bowl of episodes because this is the opportunity that we have sort of an open mic event. It's structured kind of a little bit like a town hall meeting. We have 6 sites across the state, and any accountable provider in episodes is welcome to show up and give feedback directly to the state. We love hearing directly from providers, and it's a great opportunity for you to come and speak right to us. And as you can see on the map here, we have a site all across the state. You're welcome to just RSVP, of course, but show up. It's no cost. We have sites in Memphis, Jackson, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Johnson City. And every year we receive feedback at this session, And we take that and we analyze it and we produce or release a memo in the fall every year that documents every change that we made and every piece of feedback that we received and what our response is to it. And one key part of the episodes program is responsiveness to stakeholder feedback. That's at our core, and that's something we take very seriously. So I encourage all of you to please consider attending this year. The best place to get information about this event and other details about our program is, of course, our website. We have a website within the division of TennCare, but sometimes I think the easiest way to find us is to just Google TennCare Episodes of Care. We're usually the top hit on Google. It'll take you right there. And we're really working on improving our website. We're adding new provider education materials all the time to give you resources and answer your questions. And we're constantly developing new content, so please check out the website. This is also where we'll have event details about the feedback session and our specific addresses to all the sites and the link to RSVP and the event date. So please check us out. I especially want to call out, we have a link on our homepage to sign up for our newsletter. And I encourage all of you to please sign up for the Episodes newsletter. We don't send out that many newsletter releases, so it's not going to fill up your inbox, but it is a great way to receive updates, new information. We send out save the dates when we have an event that you can attend. So please, everyone, I'm encouraging you to click on our website and sign up. And lastly, I think Felicia gave a really lovely introduction, and I just want to echo that we really appreciate all of you coming. We really appreciate that you make these programs so successful. And also a special shout out to the 3 MCOs. I know this month United is our host, but all 3 MCOs have put in so much time and effort to bring you this conference and to include Episodes of Care. And on behalf of all of the TennCare staff, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you in July. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth and Meredith, for those updates, and I want to just remind everyone to take advantage of those updates. Feel free to access the website for TennCare, as well as reach out to your MCO assistants and contacts for information as well. So next up, we'll have a wellness goal for 2020 session facilitated by Marie Foster of AmeriGroup. So let's give Marie a hand as she. Get you loaded up. Take it away, Marie.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? Excited. I feel the energy in the room. So we are going to start off with a wellness activity. And I'm going to have everybody participate in this, if you don't mind. If everybody in the room, please stand up. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a series of questions. And if you answer yes to the question, you can remain standing. If you answer no to the question, please sit down. On the next question, if the answer is yes and you're sitting down, you can stand back up. So we're going to begin with the first one. How many of you in the room have usually eat 5 to 7 vegetables a day, or fruits or vegetables a day? If no, please sit down. Okay. The next question. How many of you get 6 to 8 glasses of water a day? The next question. How many of you get 30 minutes of moderate exercise at least 5 days a week. Oh, good. Good, good, good. The next question. How many of you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at least 5 days a week? Okay. Oh, good. And then the next question is, how many of you are current on your annual wellness visits? Good, good. I think that's probably the biggest crowd right there, which is really good. And then the last one, and one that's really important, I think, especially in today's day and time. How many of you, if you work at a computer for at least 6 to 8 hours a day, take at least a 10-minute break once an hour? Yeah. Give yourself a hand, that's right. You know, taking those breaks, there's a lot of studies out there right now that are going on to the detriment of our health. When we work on computers all day long, and then we also live a sedentary lifestyle at night. So that's something to really kind of think about when you're thinking about your wellness. And with that exercise, I think we can all say that wellness is important to each one of us. So let's go back to this slide. There we go. Wellness, the heart of the matter. Why do I call it the heart of the matter, you may ask? I hope to unpack that as we go through this presentation today. But first, let's look at how the National Institute of Wellness defines wellness. They define it as conscious, self-directed, evolving process, achieving full potential, and it is multidimensional and holistic. It encompasses a lifestyle, and it also encompasses emotional and spiritual well-being and our environment. It's also positive and affirming. Now, if you will, think about that with me for just a minute. Wellness is defined as conscious, self-directed, an evolving process. Think about your own lives and how that impacts your overall wellness. So how can we improve our wellness? How can we help our patients improve their wellness? Most of the time, as healthcare providers, we focus on disease and acute illness. Many times when we think about wellness, we're really thinking about wellness visits for our adult or pediatric patients. But I would like to propose that wellness goes much, much deeper than that. It's a journey, and each one of us are on our own individual journey, and it's important for us to help our patients reach their highest level of wellness. I would say that wellness changes depending on where you're at in your wellness journey and really where you're at in your life. I'm going to use myself as an example. I have set wellness goals for a very long time. As I've learned more about wellness, my goals have become more specific, my daily and my weekly goals to reach my overall wellness. I was bumping along pretty good with my wellness goals until last August, when I fractured my ankle and I had to have surgery. My wellness goals changed from trying to get 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 days a week to how in the world am I going to get up and down the stairs in my home on the crutches without falling. No longer was I concerned about trying to get 5 to 7 fruits and vegetables a day. I was concerned about how am I going to get the food and how am I going to prepare it. As I healed, my wellness goals changed. Then they became, how can I work with physical therapy to make sure that I can keep the swelling out of my ankle and get enough protein, quality protein, to assure healing? And then they progressed to continuing to work with physical therapy to make sure that I could get the mobility back in my ankle and that I could gain the muscle back in order to walk on it. So you see, it's a journey, and it really depends on where you're at in that journey. The National Wellness Institute defines 6 dimensions of wellness. The first one is emotional. And I would say that emotions really impact the way we have, the view we have on the world around us. It is defined as understanding your emotions and being able to express your emotions. The next one is occupational. And typically when we think about occupational, we think about our careers and our jobs. But I would venture to say that it goes much deeper than that. It could be any activity where we are giving, where a person is giving and getting back satisfaction. The next one is physical. And I think that with physical, that's something that we really all think about when we think about wellness. And it is. Physical activity is known to be very important in our overall wellness. But that physical activity can look much different from person to person. It could be that our patients have not had a lot of physical activity. So a goal for them may be walking to the mailbox and back daily for a certain number of days and then advancing that physical activity. The next one is social. And I think our crowd today really demonstrates the importance of that social contact. It's really connecting and communicating with each other. And that's really important in our overall wellness. And it's used a lot of times in our physical activities through maybe exercise groups or people that are part of a group that's really striving for wellness. And then that helps us to also want to strive for wellness. The next one is intellectual, and it is mental activities. And then the last one is spiritual, and that's a sense of belonging. The Institute goes on to describe that all of these dimensions are interconnected. They're not siloed. They all work together in our life and our overall wellness journey. And it's also true for our patients. When we're thinking about wellness with our patients, think about where they're at, and not just from a physical aspect, but maybe an emotional or a spiritual aspect. What are some of the tools that we can use to help our patients on their wellness journey? With a show of hands, can I ask who has either heard about motivational interviewing or has used motivational interviewing? Hands going up all over the room. That's wonderful. Motivational interviewing first came on the scene in the early 1980s when an American psychologist by the name of William Miller described a therapeutic counseling that he did with his alcoholic patients where he found some success. Today, motivational interviewing is used in a variety of healthcare settings, and it is described as directive, client-centered, eliciting behavioral changes through counseling and helping the patient or the client to explore and resolve ambivalence. So I think it's really important, and for those of you who are familiar with motivational interviewing, important for us to realize that it is really based on what the patient believes their wellness journey is and where they're at on that journey. I think using motivational interviewing helps us to help the patient discover their why. By discovering their why, they can also figure out how they're going to reach their wellness potential. I'm going to give you a little story about why and how I learned how important why was to me. Years ago, I had an oncology patient. This oncology patient had a very strong why. This patient wanted to see their daughter get married. This patient was very close to the end of life, and I have to honestly say that we as a team did not think that was going to happen. But this patient was determined, a very strong why. And then the day before the wedding, the patient got a burst of energy and was busying with what was going to be worn to the wedding, how the patient was going to get to the wedding, who was going to be there to support this patient during the wedding. The next day came, and this patient was able to attend the daughter's wedding and also the reception. The next day, I got a call to come to the patient's home, and I had the honor to help this patient and family as this patient transitioned through death. That taught me a long time ago how important why is. And that's important for all of us. Why do we do the things that we do? Why does the patient want to reach the wellness goals they want to reach? So if you can help them find the why, then you can help them explore the how. The next tool that I'm going to give you, and probably one you may already be familiar with, is the plan of care. Now, this is different from a care plan, which is typical for the clinical folks. But the plan of care is really patient-specific. It involves the patient, but not only the patient, the entire team. The plan of care starts from the very first point of contact to the very last point of contact from the healthcare team. The plan of care is, again, patient-centered, and if the receptionist at the first point of contact understands or knows or sees that the patient needs a visit, that visit can go ahead and be scheduled, either at the first or the last point. And then everyone in between, asking about the goals. Have they met their goals? Have they set new goals? Are there barriers to their goals? What's going on in their life that may be they're struggling with? In what area of life? Because again, wellness is not really just about physical. It really could be other dimensions of wellness that's really needs to be addressed before we get to the physical part of it. Excuse me. Then I wanted to bring in another dimension of wellness. I think most everyone has probably heard or understands or knows about social determinants of health. And typically when we think about social determinants of health, and rightfully so, we think about housing or food. And later on in our session, we will have a session on social determinants of health. But I wanted to take it with just a different spin on it. Because I really want us to think about where our patient is on their life spectrum. Because that can have a big impact on the wellness and their wellness journey and their wellness goals. So one thing that I wanted to bring out that has hit very close to home for me with my teenage grandchildren are some of the things that we are seeing in our children and our teenagers related to social media and electronic devices, which is relatively new to our society and our culture for children. I think most of us has probably heard in media, news media, or maybe you've been touched individually with the mental illnesses or the mental issues that teenagers and children have come against when they have been involved in social media and found themselves either the source of bullying or maybe ostracizing, especially at a time when their primary goal and what's so important to them is that social support and being involved and being included. And then all of a sudden they find themselves eliminated and they don't know how to handle this. And I have to say that I have one granddaughter that has really struggled with this, and it's been hard to watch. And then something else that I've seen, and I didn't even realize this was an issue until I saw it again in another grandchild, and that's neck pain. So I started doing some research on neck pain in children and adolescents and came across several studies on this. Apparently, this is something that is increasing. And one study that I found is that they were talking about the children that were experiencing neck pain and some of the different modalities that they've used to try to treat that. But what caught my eye was 100% of the children, when questioned, admitted to flexing their neck down when using an electronic device. I think we've all seen it. Many of us do it. We look down without even thinking about it. So when you're thinking about the well-being and a wellness journey for your own individual patients, think about where they're at and maybe some of the social activities they may be involved in that may be impacting their health. Some of the resources that I wanted to bring out as another tool is social groups. So many times when we think about resources, again, we're thinking about housing or food, and those are all very important. But I wanted to put just a little bit of a different twist because we are social beings, and a lot of times that social connection can really help us to reach and set our goals or set and reach our goals. Some of the resources could include maybe exercise group, or possibly if you've got a patient that's grieving, has gone through a loss of some sort, maybe a grief support group. Maybe a wellness coach. Or one of the things I think maybe most of us in the room have probably used or do use is some kind of fitness application. I think most of our patients, most of us have access to a smartphone, and those wellness applications can really help with setting and reaching wellness goals. Some of the resources that you may know about already for resources for your patients is Aunt Bertha. I think if you're not familiar with Aunt Bertha, you can Google that, and you can also put in your zip code for your area, and Aunt Bertha will bring up different types of resources for your patients. But also, when we're talking about social and community groups, think about your local government and some of the information systems that they have in place. Usually, I know with ours, we can go into their website and it'll list different social groups and support groups, and that might be a really good resource too when you're looking at overall wellness and wellness goals. So, of course, part of helping our patients, and even in our own wellness journey, we have to look at where we're at, what goals we've reached, and what barriers that we have, and how do we address those barriers. It could be that we have set this lofty goal way out here, and it's almost impossible to reach. And we could just break that down into sections, maybe small sections or milestones, and then reach those milestones as we reach the next one. Another thing that I really wanted to bring out, I don't know if anybody else struggles with this, I know I do, is really celebrating the small milestones that I've reached. You know, I don't do wellness perfectly, but I've learned to celebrate when I do, because then when I do celebrate, then it helps me to want to reach or set and reach the next goal. So when you're thinking about that with your patients, help them to celebrate too, because it's so easy to focus on, well, I didn't get this done and I wasn't successful. But celebrate what you are successful in. And with that, I want to turn it over to Miss Brittany Corlew, who is our program manager for PCMH and HealthLink, and she is going to walk you through the next part of our wellness activity.
So I told them we need to start having some walk-on music, but Marie did a good job of walking me on the stage. So if everybody will look on your table, there are 2 blank pieces of paper. So please identify someone that has good handwriting and can spell well to be your writer. So we're going to do something that everybody loves to do, group activities here. Having fun finding the paper. So, you know, at the beginning of Marie's talk, everybody good? You got your paper? At the beginning of Marie's presentation, she had everybody stand up and sit down after identifying different wellness goals that we are trying to achieve with ourselves and with our members. I noticed, and what took me out immediately was the fruits and vegetables. A lot of people sat down on that one. Also, the breaks during your workday, which is so critical, took out a lot of people. So in looking at that, you know, I was thinking, we see these half marathon bumper stickers, and it motivated me once upon a time to do a half marathon. Trained, and Marie was talking about piece by piece, step by step, did a few 5Ks, started the half marathon training, got about to 9 miles, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to run this whole thing. It was not fun. So I was like, but I want to meet this goal, so I know I can walk the rest. So I broke it down. I'm going to run this much, walk, and have fun. And it was an incredible experience. Do I want to do it again? Absolutely not. Do I want to gain that full marathon sticker? Nope. So I was like, I'm done with running. I'm going to hire a trainer. Money is a powerful motivator for me. So that makes me go to the gym at least 3 times a week, and then I do a couple on my own. So that was my breaking it down in pieces. So what I would like everybody to do at your table is think of the main theme at the table. So just pick one, whether it's exercise, eating healthy, getting more sleep. Consolidate that problem into one sentence, and then think of a solution and come up with a slogan of your problem and the solution. Be creative, make it catchy. Yesterday someone did a little song and dance to theirs. It was fantastic. But for example, eat the best, leave the rest. So go ahead, work at your tables, take about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll regroup. Okay, everybody, start wrapping up. And I was told to speak right on the microphone. So we have our microphone vannas out there. We are going to actually go from each table. I would like everyone to state the common challenge that you came up with at your table and then share your bumper sticker with the group. I see some colorful ones out there too. So would you like to start with your colorful? Yes.
Brandon Bass with Health Connect America.
Bring it on up here. Come on, let's bring it up here. Can you hear him?
I hear you doing that.
So tell us who you are.
Well, my name is.
Can't hear him.
Hello.
This one's louder.
We got a lot.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there's
Okay, I'll be real quick. Oh, there we go. There I am. Hello, Brandon Bass is my name. I get to be the program director for Health Connect America. This is our Health Connect America table. You heard us a little earlier. There we go. And you still hear us. I think some of y'all know Jennifer. All right, wonderful. So we actually identified an opportunity in the exercise area, right? The daily 30 minutes a day at least, 5 days a week, to be able to have some real impact in our lives. So we came up real quick with a slogan, exercise today, thank yourself tomorrow. So that's us. Health Connect America.
Thank you so much. All right, who would like to go next? Any volunteers? Volunteers? All right, all right. Tell us your name and where you're from.
My name's Chelsea Sharp, and we are from Camelot. And we were kind of confused as to what the exercise was. So we just came up with some little slogans, walk to wellness, because it's easy, you know. And we talked about how we're just too tired from working when we get home, but we want to be goal getters.
Yay.
Exercise is free. You don't have to pay a gym. You can just walk wherever you are. What's 30 minutes? I mean, we all waste 30 minutes a day doing something. Exercise is self-love, and you can go 10 minutes to a longer life.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. All right, Meredith.
I have a table over here, Tiffany.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Tiffany with Children's Medical Group, and there's other people here from other places. But what we realized is, as everybody was standing up, sitting down, a lot of people sat down on the take 10 minutes. So our slogan was, take 10 for Zen, 10 minutes, an hour for power.
All right, I'm speaking on behalf of Tullahoma Peds and Family Care Clinic. To piggyback on that, we also discussed the getting up to walk for a little bit from your desk. So I won't go into our discussion because it was similar to what you all discussed. But our slogan is stop the cray, walk away, 2 times, 10 a day.
Stop the cray, cray, cray. Iman?
Hi, my name is Edith with Meharry Medical Group. We started with the word just balance, and we thought about life is a balancing act, just a matter of getting our nutrition, exercise, rest, and beyond balance according to our lifestyle.
Okay. We chose the finding time to exercise as well. They say that your recliner is the most dangerous thing in your house. So we just said, if you have time to walk. I think I broke up. If you have time to sit, you have time to walk. Try to find those times when you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Our table, everybody sat down on the the vegetables and the servings. I'm not gonna do 5 to 6 servings per day. Maybe like, I'm gonna try to hit 2 or 3, hit the small goals. But our slogan is go green, get lean. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Alicia with the Tennessee Association of Mental Health Organizations. We have Centerstone and the Mental Health Cooperative at our table, and we did ours on sleep because we know how important sleep is, and our slogan is sleep once upon a mattress. If you don't snooze, you lose.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm with Volunteer Behavioral Healthcare System, and we have a mayor group at our table, and we went with thirst and drinking more water, and we did a bumper sticker, so honk if you're thirsty, hashtag drink more water.
My name's Lynette Jordan, and we're with Cumberland Pediatrics, and we have someone from HCA and TennCare. And we did eating right, and we talked about you need to eat out less, you need to choose your foods more wisely, drink more water, make better choices, more fruit. And then we said, and eat like Granny, because they ate better than we did. So we should have done that as our slogan. We said, think about what you put in your mouth.
Oh, okay. All right.
We are VIP Mid-South, and we struggled with eating fruits and vegetables as well. We like donuts, so we came up with donut, forget to eat your fruits and vegetables. And then we don't take breaks from our screens every hour, so we did 10 for the win.
Hi, I'm with United Healthcare, and we have Mahari here as well, and we address the sleeping goal for various reasons. We went ahead and went with an acronym for sleep, and we said, start learning effective evening patterns.
Well, this table over here was talking about take a stand and being zen, and apparently we were meditating together. So we said take a stand, 10 minutes an hour gives you the power.
Hi, my name is Eric. I'm with Omni Community Health, and we've got a young lady from Amera Group as well. So we went with a theme of healthy people help people connect, and it's in this field, it's easy to put yourself second, and we get a lot of joy from seeing people get well. And this was just the premise of you have to take care of yourself first.
Thank you.
Hi, we're representing UTMC and Putnam County Pediatrics, and we did our daily servings of fruit and veggies with our slogan being, taste nature's rainbow, eat your fruits and veggies.
I'm Mandy Ryan, and I'm from Centerstone, and we were really guilty of not taking breaks. So we decided to take a break before you break.
Love it.
Mark Overlock from a sleep-deprived Nashville General Hospital. We hope by eating more veggies we'll get better sleep, so our little motto is tomato, tomato, eat your veggies and feel bravado.
Hi, I'm Jennifer from Rainbow Kids Clinic. I have a couple ladies from Centerstone and Connect Us. And we had not enough people step away from their computers, so we have a slogan or a bumper sticker that says, multiple breaks a day keeps the aches at bay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Heather from Blue Care. So something that's a common theme for us is the 10-minute break. And we all attribute that to constant meetings back and forth. So our slogan is leave a gap, take a lap. So instead of scheduling all of your meetings on the hour or lasting the full hour, leave a 10 to 15 minute gap either before or at the end of the hour so you have time to get up and take a lap around.
I'm Sam from Rivergate Pediatrics, and we discussed
the taking 10-minute breaks, and in particular how we suffer from neck pain as well. So our slogan is Deck the Tech Neck.
Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm from Tennessee Pediatrics. We have United Healthcare and Terrace Pediatrics. And we went with consistency is key, because without consistency, I mean, you just fall off. Thank you.
Did we get everyone? Are we missing anyone? We're getting our 30 minutes in. Hey, Mom. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Brittany. That was fun, wasn't it? It was exciting. Thank you.
Everybody is so creative. I did not get that gene, so, and I don't even, shut this back on here. There we go. So I hope everybody enjoyed the exercise and got some good ideas from your peers on how to incorporate healthy lifestyles in your work and within yourself, and then also, translate that over to your members. Again, when you look to consolidate a problem and simplify it, it makes it easier to take bite-sized pieces and hopefully come up with a solution. And I'm going to hand this over back to Marie, and we'll go through the references and wrap up and take questions. Thank you.
We do have a resource slide, and we can send those resources out to you for anybody who's interested in those. And now for the questions. Do we have anybody that has any questions? And I'm going to pull this down. I probably should have done it earlier. Do we have anybody that has any questions or maybe any stories that you would like to share in some of the things that you've learned on your healthcare journey, or maybe helping one of your patients go through their healthcare journey? No? Okay. I did want to say thank you very much for participating in our activity, and leave you with one thought as you go through your day and you really do think about your wellness and how you can also help your patients through their wellness journeys. Remember, you either pay for your health now in the activities that you do, or you will pay for it most certainly later. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That was very inspirational and a reminder for me, and I hope to many of you as you are engaging and connecting with your providers across the state and within this particular region. We have a little time before our networking break, but I want to do just a quick activity. And when you think about Campbell's soup, you know that song, it's good. And so when I think about Campbell's soup, I think about alphabet soup, right? And I think about alphabets. Alphabets create our words. And there are a lot of acronyms that are used in our industry that you will hear today. There are a lot of words that we use in our industry that you will hear today. And I hope that as you are internalizing on what you're hearing and how you can take back and receive from it and take back to your body of work, to connect with the members and really service the vulnerable populations, I want to share a few letters that creates an acronym or words that you would use. And I want you to raise your hand. And if you can guess it, it's an activity. We'll give you something really sweet and kind that you can use as well as a gift for participating. But today, and you may not have heard it today, but you will hear it throughout the program as well. And so if you can raise your hand and guess it, let me know. Just show by raise of hand. ADT, what does ADT mean? Yes, you got it. BP, what's a BP? No, not that one. That's good, but that's not it. That's not what I'm looking for. Think about the stories that you share, the events, the information that you put in place. It creates a what? Yes. Best practice. CCT. Right there. Absolutely, care coordination tool. CDPS plus RX. Oh, listen, that's a daily double. CDP plus RX. I'll let you simmer on that one. I'll come back. You just heard this one, MI. Right there in the back, in white. POC. Right here. Plan of care. But hey, the effort, yes. Right here, raise your hand. Oh, this is what we do. It's one letter. Q. Right back there. SDOH. Can I hear one? In the back, in the goal. Yes. And you know what? This is what happens. This is how we're rewarded. OP. At the end of the year, when we're evaluating, one person. Just right here in the front, Tiffany. Tiffany, right here. Okay. One hand, the first hand, NCQA. In the back. Yes. Okay. This is really new. I think you'll get this one though. TDSTC. I'm gonna let you simmer on that one too. We'll come back. Okay. You got it. The lady in the gray sweater right here. TennCare Delivery System Transformation Conference. Yes. Last one. TCOC. Yes, ma'am. That's it. Here we go. The daily double. CDPS plus RX. Oh, this is our alphabet soup. Any takers? Algorithm. That sounds real good, but that's not it this time. POM, yes. POM. Yes. It's in there. That was another hint. As we're simmering on that one, you probably don't want to be in this, connected with this alphabet, but it happens, but there's opportunity. R. Who said that? Who said that? Oh, you already won. You said it. You said remediation. Remediation. There are 3 phases to remediation. So did we find, are we out? Go here's some. Okay, PCT. Primary care transformation. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready for the big reveal? I think we have one. Go ahead. We'll take it. But here it is. Combined chronic illness and pharmacy payment system, right? Yes. So that was just to share just a gentle reminder of our why as we're connecting to our providers in the community across Tennessee. But we're going to transition into our networking break. But as we are coming to a close with our networking break, I'd like for the panelists to join me here, and then we'll get your presentations in order to come back and present to our general group here. And also one reminder, once we come back from our networking break, we will have our lunch from 11:30 to 12:30. And we will break into the 3 sessions. This room becomes 3. And so I will gently remind you of what those sessions are. And if you are not really sure where you're supposed to be, there are big Post-it notes outside in the hallway there. And so you'll know if you signed up for session A and where you should be for session A. That runs from 12:30 to 1:40, I believe. And then for session B, that goes from 1:50 to 3 p.m., and then we'll conclude. But I want to remind you, as the panelists, as we're breaking into our networking group, to complete your surveys that are on the table. We'd love to hear from you what we could do better, how we can improve this conference in the near future. And so your feedback is important. And so we're going to go ahead and break into our networking group session, and we'll come back. We will meet back in here, well, if you can leave if you want, but come back around 10:55, and we will resume with our social determinants of health collaborative session in our panel, okay? Thank you, Cal. Thank you all so much for participating in the networking session. We will come back now and go through with our final portion of our plenary. So now is the time where we can sit back and relax and take in a little bit more information about the Social Determinants of Health Collaborative. This is a session where we all can participate. And the first person that will be presenting is Dr. Jean James, CMO and VP of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We have in our panel, just come on up as I call your name. Kelly is already here. That's Kelly Sharon, everybody. Director of Member Experience and Strategic Partnership. And then we have Andy McMahon, VP of Policy, Health and Human Services, United Healthcare Community Plan. And so now I'll turn it over to our esteemed panelists.
All right, let's see how technologically savvy I am. How do we make it do the slideshow view? So it F5, okay. Oops.
Maybe it's not going to view.
Yeah, this is a PDF version. So. You don't have it in a PowerPoint? Uh-oh. Okay. Well, sorry. But I think everybody will be able to see. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jean James. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Blue Care. Good to see a lot of familiar faces here today. It's really exciting to see such a big room full of folks and many that have been with us since the very beginning of all of this. So I'm excited to see the continued momentum. Many of you know that I'm a pediatrician, and so social determinants of health are something that are really exciting to me and something that I feel like in pediatrics and primary care we've talked about for a long time. We just didn't have a good name for it. Back when I was a resident and in practice, we talked about taking a social history from families, right? Trying to understand the living environment of the patients that we were taking care of and making sure that we thought about those and how it influenced the care that we recommended, just to make sure it was even feasible for them to do the things that we were suggesting. And so I think it's really exciting now that, that there's a name for this, because I think it helps us sort of get more attention to this and to start to think about strategies to address these things. So many of you are familiar with this already. The Centers for Disease Control defines social determinants of health as the conditions or environments where people live, learn, work, play, worship, and age that affect a wide variety of their health, functioning, and quality of life, outcomes, and risks, right? And I think we tend to think about this on a couple of levels, individually for how it impacts our interactions with an individual member or patient, but also how we sort of roll those things up and think about for a population we care for, what's a common social determinant that many of them face so that we can think about broader solutions or support other agencies who are working on broader solutions. And then we'll talk a little bit too about how that plays into advancing health equity for the members that we serve. So these are the kinds of things that we're talking about, and I think these lists keep growing all the time, right? Resources to meet daily needs is kind of an overall category, but things like housing, food. And one thing I'll say about housing is that I think we've learned a lot more about that this is really sort of a spectrum. We initially started to think about people who were clearly homeless, right, living on the street or in their car. But now we realize that a lot of the folks we serve have what we call unstable or inconsistent housing, right? They may stay with a friend and sleep on the sofa, and then something happens there and they've got to move somewhere else. And so it's a very frequently changing environment, and that presents challenges too, right? Because we need to ask about it every time we see them so that we understand the setting that they're in at that time. Let's see. So as I look at this list and think about some of these, the the Kaiser Family Foundation did something that I think was really helpful for us and sort of put these into categories. And I think as we sort of think about this broad concern that we've got to begin to grapple with, it helps to think about them in these categories. So there are those around economic instability, things about their neighborhood or physical environment. And that's where you think about things like safety and places to exercise or walk. Education, and if education is poor in an area, then it may lead to difficulties with health literacy and those kinds of things too. We think about food and food insecurity, the sort of community and social issues. One of the ones that I've read a lot of interesting things about lately that I think is one we've got to continue to think about are these things around social isolation and loneliness, and that for many of our rural members or elderly or disabled members who might have difficulty getting out in the community, that loneliness and isolation really impacts both their mental health and physical health. And then things around the healthcare system, right? Access to visits, continuity with a provider, those kinds of things fall into that last category. So here's why this is so important. I think that we would like to think that, and this is sort of the spectrum of what impacts people's health, right? And we'd like to think that that healthcare box is bigger, but really only about 20% of a person's overall health and what their outcomes will be is impacted by the health care they receive. We know about 20% of it is genetics, but a full 60% can be attributed to the social, environmental, and behavioral factors and how those influence their overall health. So we've really got to start to think about those things and start to move into working on that 60% as well, or we're only going to be so successful going forward. So when we talk about social determinants, people think very often first about poverty, right? And we know that poverty limits access to food and safe neighborhoods, and that we know that more and better education is a good predictor of health. But there are also some striking differences in communities with poor social determinants. And so I think we have to think a little bit beyond poverty as the only issue. And so the reason I added this one is that some of these things aren't necessarily only associated with poverty. I think about stress, for example. I think we can all think about a time in our lives where we had to deal with stress as a social determinant and how it impacted our health, right? Things in our early life, maybe balancing work with other responsibilities, times when we were between jobs or had a car that wasn't functioning. And the reason I bring this up is I think it's helpful to think about times in your own life when you dealt with this. I'm currently right now in the midst of, an aging parent and a college student with some health issues. And so I'm balancing those kind of things. And I think if I can think a little bit about how it impacts me, it helps me to be more empathetic and think more broadly as I'm interacting with a patient or a member. So it's not something that you just want to put in the bucket of poverty, because I think it's broader than that in some ways. So what kinds of things are being done to address this today? There's a growing movement to talk about this, to incorporate health outcomes and the assessments of health impact on lots of different programs. We know this is going to take some major reforms, right? We just within the healthcare system aren't going to be able to fix unstable housing or food insecurity. So we're seeing more and more that there are going to have to be some big solutions that involve lots of different folks. But I think that the fact that we can now talk about this and begin to quantify some of these things helps us find ways to work together more effectively. So at Blue Care, in the last few years, we've worked on a couple of things to, again, try to quantify and get our arms around this. And so the first thing we did was to establish a social determinants of health assessment in our care coordination system that our case managers use called Care Advance, that allows them to use something called the Prepare tool to assess for those social determinant needs in a way that a consistent way that we do it all the time and each time that we interact with folks, so that we can quantify that. Then we also tried to pull in any other data that we had at our disposal, demographic data, socioeconomic data, things that we see in lab or pharmacy or or claims that might indicate something related to a social determinant. And that helps us come up with something that we call a social vulnerability index, or SCORE, right, that we can attach to an individual member that helps to sort of flag us to know that, hey, before I start to educate this member about their diabetes care, we better talk about food availability first, and because I won't get anywhere with that medical advice until we address some of those primary needs in their social determinant concerns. So this is just a little bit more about that tool, the protocol for responding to and assessing patients' assets, risk, and experiences. So again, just a consistent way for us to quantify this so that we can begin to track and trend. It also has flags where if the score goes up in a certain area, it helps trigger instructions to a case manager. Okay, these are all things about food insecurity. So let's connect to the things in our database for community resources that are related to that. So we think as an MCO that there are some different roles that we can play. One is sort of at the individual level, like I've discussed, to identify resources in a member's community, and referrals from you all for us to help with that is something that we very much like to do. We want to not only interact with those community agencies for individual referrals, but begin to build relationships with them so we can help to make sure that they're successful over time. And many of those agencies are very passionate about these concerns and are working to try to fix the problem in a longer term, and we want to help support those things too. We talked about data collection and tracking and the importance of that. And overall, we know that this has to be sort of a coordinated approach. We've got to think strategically about, we can continue to sort of put out the fire and rescue each member when we get an issue, but we've got to step back and be able to pull those things together so that we can look at where do we need to invest and develop going forward. So I think that overall is kind of my overview, and I'm going to turn it over now to Andy next to talk from United, and we'll do questions at the end.
All right. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Good. Good. Delighted to be here with you all today. My name is Andy McMahon. I'm Vice President of Health and Human Services Policy at United Healthcare, and have the good fortune to work with our Tennessee plan on a whole array of social determinants of health issues. Again, super delighted to be here today. And I think in my 10 minutes or so, I want to give you kind of a brief take kind of from our perspective on kind of the issues and the problems as they were, but we'll be quick on that because we're sadly, I think, all pretty aware of them, and then share with you kind of a framework for how we're trying to address these issues, and then close with a couple of concrete examples of how we're trying to do this in other places and ways that we're looking to bring this work to Tennessee. And I think one of the things we were talking about earlier is I think in a very positive way, you'll probably hear some common themes among us, among the various MCOs, and so we're all, have maybe variations on a theme, but I think a lot of common thinking on how best to approach these issues in a good way. So real briefly, right, we're all aware of this problem, right, that we as individuals, as a single human being, have a whole host of issues. We have medical issues, we have behavioral health issues, we have places where we live, we have cars or buses that we get on, we have all these things. And all of those things are things within us, right, that we need to function each and every day. And the reality is that all those things that we actually need are totally fragmented, right? So all the different things that we need to live a healthy and fulfilling life, we need as an individual, but they all exist in the proverbial silos that we all talk about. And related to that too, I think, is the web and complexity of the services and supports that are out there is pretty mind-numbing in almost every community I've ever worked in or worked with, and in a lot of good ways, right? Every one of these organizations represents some organization doing some great work, probably mission-oriented work, trying to support people, help people in some certain way, but almost all of it is discoordinated, right? And so you end up with this menagerie of things, but how does one kind of navigate all of these things, and how and where are we able to align our resources from healthcare in the community to best support individuals? I'd argue it's pretty difficult to align anything on the graphic I have here. So that's part of what we're trying to think about, right, is how do we understand our members better and connect them to the care that they need and the social determinants that are affecting their lives. At United Healthcare, we've developed what we internally affectionately call our traffic light slide here. But this will give you kind of a framework for how we're thinking about it. And I think there's, again, a lot of similarity in terms of thinking first and foremost about kind of collecting this social determinants of health data, right? So what are these things around housing status, food insecurity, transportation issues, interpersonal violence, all these things that have massive, massive impacts. We're doing a lot more work to identify and kind of assess our members using, in some cases, the Prepare tool as well, and in other places, different tools. But so first and foremost, right, it's getting that bigger picture of our member and their social determinants of health issues. And then from there, it's a matter of looking and saying, and quote unquote, risk stratifying them, right? And saying, okay, well, we have some people who basically have no risk. Sadly, that bucket of folks is a pretty small group of people. And then we have what we consider kind of the emerging risk population, which is the overwhelming majority of people, which is where I'll focus on a second. And then from our perspective, you have the highest acuity folks and the most acute care folks that have needs. And on that end, for the complex care, we have some very targeted health and housing interventions that we do that are very, very intensive, include tons and tons of clinical time with each and every member, and literally kind of the hand-holding to different appointments and other things to make sure that we're helping them to improve their lives. But for the emerging risk population, I think a lot of what we are looking to do then is to create kind of resource and referral networks, right? So, okay, we've identified Andy McMahon has these needs, and I have some needs, but I'm not super acute, so I'm kind of in this emerging risk category. What are the types of resources, and what can we as United Healthcare, as an MCO, refer me to? This is a challenge, though, I think for two reasons. So one is that a lot of times for a lot of folks, just getting the referral piece of paper ain't going to cut it. You don't say, okay, well, here's the number at here's the address for the food bank. And then they look and it's like, oh, well, the food bank's like 3.5 buses away from me. So, basically I'm not going to the food bank is the end result. So we're working very, very diligently on those types of issues, understanding that a lot of times a referral is not enough. And so one of the things that we're looking about then is that how can we create more direct linkages to those services, and how do we figure out financing that? And I think hopefully, getting to kind of a closed loop network, if you will, where we actually made referrals and are concrete and we're getting people there. And then we actually understand the impact that had, that they actually got to the food bank and got the healthy food they needed, or they were connected to a housing voucher because they were homeless or something like that. So there's a lot of those types of efforts. And then on the back end, thinking about kind of data collection as we do that closed loop, and evaluating and understanding what's working well. What are the referrals and resources that are working really well, and try to expand and do more of those. What aren't working and we need to pay even more attention to. So that's just kind of an overview of the kind of framework and the lens through which we are looking at social determinants of health. Similarly to an earlier slide, I think, these are at least, I think you appropriately had several other domains, but these are at least a lot of the key domains that we are focused on. And I would just mention, I'm actually going to definitely change this slide, because you'll see that we have it here written as primary domains of housing, food insecurity, transportation, and interpersonal violence. That language is largely in there because we have two different initiatives with CMS and the Center for Medicare Medicaid Innovation, CMMI grants, where we're looking to address through accountable health communities, social determinants. And these are the 4 primary domains that CMS chose. So we have to be focused on those, but we've added these additional 5 domains to our assessment and referral platform because from our perspective, we understood why they wanted to prioritize those, but from where we sit, we're not kind of sufficient, and we needed to make sure that we were looking at some of these other issues. So just a couple of concrete examples. So I'd mentioned we're doing some work with accountable health communities in Hawaii. Here you can see through that initiative, we're going to be assessing more than 75,000 individuals every single year. And I should say this is kind of a plan agnostic initiative. This is not just United Healthcare member, it's Aloha Care, it's everyone in Hawaii. And we're doing those screenings, and in this case, we're kind of risk stratifying people basically to high or low risk based on their ED utilization, which was a CMS developed strategy, which we could talk about later, kind of if that was exactly the right way to go or not, but is where we landed. And then thinking about for these high-risk folks, we actually assigned a care coordinator. So if I end up being high risk, someone's actually assigned to me to go reach out to me and actually go and meet with me and help connect me to the things that I need in the community. If I'm in the lower risk category, I basically get referrals to resources that I might need. And we'll talk about this in a bit too, but I think one of the challenges, Dr. James mentioned earlier too, is that we certainly have a significant role to play in this, but we can't figure it out or do it all our own, right? So when we think about these connections and referral to community-based organizations, right, as you all well know, so many of them are undercapitalized and underfunded and are oversubscribed, right? So we need to collectively be thinking about how do we build out that provider network to address social determinants. This is just a little bit more about kind of the work that we're doing in Hawaii. Notably, just so you all know, we did try when we were figuring out, okay, we got to do 75,000 assessments every year. We ended up choosing the largest public hospital, Queens Hospital in Honolulu, and then 2 federally qualified health centers, one on Waianae Coast and one in Honolulu. In large part, right, because we knew that's where there were going to be the most Medicaid members, first and foremost, but also really trying to reduce the redundancy in assessments we do, right? I mean, I think folks, I spent a lot of years working in homelessness. People experiencing homelessness, people on Medicaid are some of the most overstudied people in the entire history of the planet, right? And so constantly assessing and understanding this or that, but it's like, so we're really trying to make sure that we're not kind of recreating wheels in that sense. This is just a snapshot to give you a sense. In our work so far, which is probably about 45,000 people, I want to say. The biggest issue was food insecurity, with living situation or housing being the second. So those were by far the 2 biggest. I also want to mention, as was earlier too, when we think about housing, we're certainly thinking about our members who are homeless and have nowhere to go, and how do we connect them to the housing and supports they need unequivocally. We're also really focused, though, in a lot of different places and trying to think about where people live and it's actually making them sick, right? So people living in housing that has lead-based paint, that I don't know if you haven't done much research on it, it's super sad, but it's worth looking at. The impact that lead paint has on kids is just through the roof, horrifying. Or thinking about asthma and other related issues to dust and circulation and those sorts of things. So we think about housing in kind of a broader sense than just kind of do you have a place to live or not. The second just very quick example is in North Carolina, where in theory, we will be operating managed Medicaid at some point. A few MCOs were awarded contracts. It's a whole set of political issues and other things going on in the state, so we haven't, quote unquote, gone live yet. But what we are looking to do there, in partnership with all the other, they're called prepaid health plans in North Carolina, but they're MCOs. Same thing, different name. And there we are working both across all the health plans and then the systems and providers to do a common screening and data assessment tool to understand the various SDOH, social determinants of health needs of all of the people on Medicaid. And then in North Carolina, they have contracted and have created something called NC Care 360, which will be the kind of central place where all of the assessments will go into, and then the referrals will come out from NC Care 360. So we're having, tailored based on the assessments and what your needs are, kind of the referrals and how intensive those referrals are, will be run through NC Care 360, and then members will be connected to the community-based organizations that they are appropriate for them. So I just want to end, I promise not really to be on a downer note, but to be on a realistic note as well. And I mentioned this earlier, that managed care organizations unequivocally have a key role to play in addressing these issues. Undoubtedly. It's also very clear that we're not going to accomplish it on our own. There is no chance we will accomplish it on our own. And so it's all of us working together and with various state and local governments and the federal government to increase the capacity of so many of these organizations that are providing the critical care and critical services that are addressing social determinants. The kind of final vignette I'll leave you with is that the woman who's the executive director of Catholic Charities in Honolulu is actually the chair of our advisory board for our Accountable Health Communities work. She's 100% all in. She's a huge champion for us with the state Medicaid agency, with MedQuest, and with others. And so she's a huge supporter of this effort. I've been out there, I don't know, probably 6 times now. And most of the times when we have advisory board meetings, at the end, invariably, she and I have a sidebar conversation where she continues, appropriately so, to express her concern that, as we're doing all these assessments, right, and we're figuring out in a very good way what these SDOH needs are of our members, and then we're actively referring our members to these supports that they need. All those 2 are very good things. The trick that she'll tell you, and most CBOs will tell you, is that, there's no room at the proverbial inn, right? Like, so the concern is that as we make more and more referrals, but there won't be the capacity there necessarily to accept all those referrals and to provide all the support for those folks. So I leave that not as a dire note, but I think as the challenge and opportunity for all of us to partner together to improve that, and then be able to improve the social determinants of our members. So thank you all very much.
All right, so I know my role up here. I am standing between you and lunch, so I am going to make it really quick. One of the things that I very much appreciate about being last amongst the 3 of us is I can literally say what they said, because it is very similar between all 3 health plans and all 3 MCOs. I first off want to say thank you all for being here today and for the work that you do. You absolutely, as Dr. James and Andy said, you have such a responsibility on your shoulders of taking care of our members every day. So thank you for that work that you do. One of the things that I would like to share with you, when we talk about social determinants of health, we can't have that conversation without talking about health equity or health inequity, as well as health disparities. And all of this comes together. So one of the things that I think is important for us to talk about is when we look at social determinants of health, we have to look at health equity. And it's important to know that that's not the same as health equality. And when I put this presentation together, I thought, man, how do you describe this to a crowd of people? I think most of you already know it, you already get it, but how do you put that into words? And as I was doing some research to figure out what do I want to say, I found this picture and I thought, well, you know what? That just says it all to sum up what the difference is between health equality and health equity. So it really is not about providing that cookie cutter approach to the people that we serve. It is digging in and finding out what is it that is needed on an individual basis. Because we all know that the people that we serve, the people that you serve, housing may be an issue for one, but it may not be an issue for all. And so when we look at health equity, it's important that we are building programs and capabilities that are at the individual level, but also looking at what is the capacity and the capabilities of the community. And the reason that that is all important is because when we actually increase health equity, so when we have gotten to the point where we are able to allow people to have the same abilities to access health care, we also see these decreases in health disparities. And so what that looks like when we have surveyed and researched our Medicaid members is a lot of times what we're seeing is African American women are having really poor health outcomes with maternal child health. We're also seeing our Hispanic children who are having really poor health outcomes for those that have asthma. And so we have to dig in and really understand, why is that? A lot of that could be genetics, but as Dr. James shared in the slide that has that 60% and 20%, but it also can be environment. And so what is going on within that environment that can really be contributing to these health disparities? So when we talk about how bringing it all together, for me, the social determinants of health, that is the what. And the health equity and health disparities, it's the why. It's why are we focusing on social determinants of health? And I love this slide because for me, it just sums it all up. So when we look to create innovative programs and capabilities within communities, we're creating healthy societies. Healthy societies produce healthy environments. Healthy environments produce healthy communities, and we know that healthy communities produce healthy individuals. And so that's why it's really important that we also focus at the community level when we look at solving the problem for social determinants of health. So as Dr. James shared with you guys, we also use the Kaiser model when we look at what are the social determinants of health, as she described for you. It's really broad. When you look at this slide, how many of you currently ask your patients or your clients questions related to some of these drivers here? Just a quick raise of hand. Okay, great, that's awesome. I've asked that question before and did not have that many people raise their hands, so kudos to you guys. So one of the things that we were asked to do was to provide a slide and to share with you a little bit about what we as an MCO are doing to address social determinants of health. And the way that we look at it is on a two-pronged approach. We are looking to solve social determinants of health at the community level, and then we're also looking to solve it at that individual level. So from the community level, these are looking for innovative programs and capabilities in our communities that are working to serve our members. As an example, I see some of my dear friends back there in the corner with Nashville General Hospital, and we recently provided a grant to Nashville General Hospital that allowed them to develop a food pharmacy. How many of you know about the food pharmacy or have been to see the food pharmacy? Great, yeah, it is a fantastic program, and I highly encourage you to think about how you could replicate something like that within your own practice. Other ideas of programs that we have developed are with Urban Housing Solutions. How many of you have heard of that organization here in Middle Tennessee? Yep, they're doing a lot to help solve the housing crisis. And so there are tons of really innovative and just interesting programs that have been built out there. But to Andy's point, the need is greater, the demand is greater than the supply right now. And so how are we supporting those community-based organizations in a way that allows them to have the resources that they need to help our members? On the individual level, one of the things that I think is really important to note, I love working for AmeriGroup. I'm extremely passionate about our company and the work that we do. We were funded by an individual who worked for a mental health HMO and realized, man, in order to serve individuals on Medicaid, we're going to have to get creative because we can't apply the old model that we've been applying. And he really challenged us to come up with going into people's homes and working with them on an individual basis to identify what their needs were. And so at that time, we called it holistic care, whole person care. And that's not changed today. Today, we just have a new fancier term for it called social determinants of health. And so really, when we look at how do we serve people on that individual basis, just like Andy and Dr. James talked about, we're looking at data through assessments that our members complete. And then also we're utilizing the knowledge of our case managers and our care coordinators who are going into our members' homes and talking to them about their health. But while they're there talking to them about their health or their chronic conditions, they're also scanning the environment to see what are the things that could be contributing to this person's health or poor health outcomes. To give you an example, we had a member, we'll call him John Doe. John Doe had diabetes and just kept presenting in the emergency room, and so the case manager for John went to his home, and when he was in the home, when she was in the home, she was looking around as she was talking to John, and she realized, John, where is your refrigerator? He goes, well, I don't have one. She goes, well, how do you keep your insulin cold? He goes, I don't. And so that's why John was presenting in the emergency room. So we worked to get John a refrigerator so that John could stay healthy through having his insulin refrigerated. So when we talk about social determinants of health and how do we solve it, to me, that's it in its simplest form. It's getting creative. It's getting to know your clients, your patients, your members, and really learning what are not just their health needs, but what are also their social needs. So I think at this point, if you aren't working with your patients and your clients on an individual level to explore what those needs are, any of the 3 MCOs can support you in that endeavor, and we encourage you to reach out to us. Make sure if you don't know how to get connected to our case management programs that you also have those folks at the ready, because those are going to be some of the most important people as you work with your clients and patients. So. All right, that's it for AmeriGroup, and I think we're going to do questions now. Yeah. Are we going to use this microphone?
They have mics on the floor.
But for us?
This is for you.
Okay. And then did y'all want to go down?
So we'll take questions for about a minute or two. Just a couple questions.
No. I'm running. Excuse me.
Thank you, Ms. Tiffany. So it's great we're getting all the determinants of health listed in our patients' and enrollees' records. What concerns me a little bit is it's sort of a catch-22. If I lose my insurance and then go to the next plan and make an application, how do I protect that information? As you mentioned, risk stratification, because if I'm an insurer and I see someone walking in with a bunch of high risk, I'm thinking, may not want to insure them.
I really think from an insurer perspective, between the 3 MCOs, we do not have responsibility for eligibility and enrollment. That is done through our TennCare partner. The other thing I'll add is that we do know that members move from one TennCare MCO to another, and we do have some processes for us to share the claims history and share that information so that when we get a member newly from another plan, we know things about them so that we can sort of hit the ground running with that member.
Yeah, I would just concur. I mean, I think we do have that data sharing capability, but I think really important to your point, I mean, on the eligibility and enrollment, like that's not our, appropriately so, the TennCare is handling that, so. I'm now Oprah.
Hey, the assessments that you're doing, is it done at the MCO level or is it done at the clinic level?
So for us, we're doing the assessments more at the clinic and member level, and then it rolls up right to the MCO where we are trying to say, okay, so it's both, right? So it's focused primarily at the kind of clinic and member level, saying, okay, we have this assessment. Here's need is for me that I just got assessed. We are also, though, then trying to collect that so that we understand across our membership what are the key needs and are there things that are more prevalent that we should be focused on more. So I think it's kind of both and.
Yeah, I would add too that we work with lots of practices that are beginning to think about how do you do this type of assessment for a patient that comes to your clinic, right? And I often tell about the example of East Tennessee State University's pediatric clinic did a little pilot where they only picked 3 questions. You know, are you having difficulties financially? Are you having difficulties with where you live? Are you having difficulties with food? And they were able to show that for the patients that they asked those questions of, whether they could even help with the issue, those patients were more likely to come back to clinic again. And I think it shows that it helped those families in the pediatric clinic understand that they cared about those things too. And so I would encourage you even to, think about starting small, and, it doesn't have to be this massive assessment tool, but just begin to think about how you can work it into your interactions with patients, because I think it can make a big difference.
I have a follow-up. Are any of the assessments that you use validated so that they can be billed?
They're all validated assessments. So Prepare is one. Another example is Accountable Healthcare. It's a CMS tool. And then the third is, I think, Health Leads is another evidence-based tool.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's give a hand to our panelists. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. So just a couple of house rules for lunch as we prepare to continue our networking, fellowshipping, and then indulging. So this room becomes 3, and let me restate what those are. If you are attending the Session 1 episodes of Care Reports, that would be in Oakley. I have to correct myself from earlier, but A would be this room to my far left, your right. And then session two, the THL aftercare planning for post-acute care in the Cambridge room B, which is around the corner to your right, out this door to my left, and then to your right, on the left, Cambridge B. If you're attending session 3, PCMH Meharry Medical Group and 86 Borders, that study discussion will be to my right, which is Oakley C. If you're participating in the Tennessee Health Link and PCMH collaboration, that will be right here in the center, Oakley B. So, plan accordingly. Again, lunch for the first 30 minutes is here. It's a sack lunch, bag lunch. Grab it, come back. Have a seat. If not, go to the lobby area, somewhere comfortable in the hotel where you can continue to network and collaborate. I would like to thank you for participating in our first portion. This is our plenary session. I really appreciate your participation, your feedback, your energy. Please complete the survey forms, leave those on the table, and our conference assistants and hosts will pick those up from you or from the table. Thank you so much.